Remember those knock-knock jokes? Well, guess who's there? It's Big Brother. That is, the government, trying to protect us in our own homes. The government says it just wants to make sure that we're safe. But John Stossel is here to say, give me a break.
Barbara, you work at home sometimes, right?
Yes.
Have a computer there, use the phone. Could be trouble. Because this month the government announced if you work at home, government safety rules apply there too. Therefore, your employer has to make sure your home is safe. Think about what this rule would mean. Since I work here at home sometimes, it means I could sue ABC for allowing me to work in a place that has wiring like that. Or if I trip on the stuff the kids leave on the stairs. Actually, the Labor Department backed off on this regulation, but only because you caught them. You were paying attention thanks to this Washington Post story, and because this intrusion was into our homes. Though the Secretary of Labor says they weren't going to barge into all our homes.
Obviously, the government has no desire or the resources to inspect every home in this country. But we certainly need to begin to talk about.
Oh yes, they're still going to talk about it. Regulators at OSHA, that's the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, want this new rule. The people who work here think you're not safe unless they get involved.
No worker should have to sacrifice their life for their livelihood. And no family should have to lose a loved one simply for doing their job.
Since OSHA was created 27 years ago, workplace fatalities have been cut in half. That's good news.
The regulators can cite specific successes, but look at the record. A graph of workplace deaths does show that the number of fatal accidents has dropped steadily since OSHA was created, which would be impressive if you didn't back the graph up to look at the years before OSHA, to see that the death rate dropped even faster without OSHA. Why? Because individual workers and unions and employers are always making little safety adjustments, and they know local working conditions better than experts in Washington. If you think the home office rule was silly, check out some of the rules OSHA's experts got away with when you weren't paying attention. The government decreed that landscapers may not use regular $5 gas cans. They must switch to these OSHA-approved ones, which cost $200 each. And get this, the spout on the $200 gas can often doesn't fit standard chainsaws, so gas spills. That makes life safer. OSHA proposed healthcare workers wear this mask to protect them from tuberculosis. Sam Donaldson interviewed this doctor about it.
A hood with a visor and a kind of apron below it. Obviously, this is extraordinarily frightening to the average patient.
Well, you look like Captain Kirk when
Yes.
he's getting ready to beam down.
And each mask cost $500. The rule would have cost American hospitals millions had OSHA not backed down. OSHA's also big on fining companies. They claim this makes work safer, but that's hard to believe because some of OSHA's inspectors' decisions defy common sense. This man was trapped in a trench in Idaho. Construction workers working nearby quickly jumped in and rescued him, saved his life. OSHA then fined the construction company $7,000 because rescuers didn't secure the trench walls and wear approved hard hats. OSHA came after this Massachusetts factory that makes wire mesh again and again. Inspectors fined factory owner James Knott because this machine has a dangerous blade.
OSHA was concerned that he might stick his arm down in there. Well, you can't run the machine without this thing being closed.
That's right, when it's open, the blade won't turn. But OSHA fined him $4,000 anyway. And OSHA inspectors regularly demand extra precautions.
They said that this guardrail was too low and that it should go up another foot. I mean, is this too low? Could I climb over this thing?
He says OSHA's inspectors have never made a helpful suggestion.
They send inspectors around who invent complaints, and then they would like you to pay them money. They're extortionists.
OSHA fined one company because it failed to warn employees not to ingest the toner in its copiers. People have to be warned not to eat this stuff? And the micromanagement. OSHA sent this letter to beverage companies with detailed instructions on how workers should unload trucks. First, double the number of people on your delivery teams. Then employee number 1 can unload the truck for an hour, and employee number 2 can roll the hand truck. The torso should not be bent forward further than 6 to 10 degrees from vertical, and so on. From Washington, Big Brother knows best. Occasionally, companies fight back. Dayton Tire took OSHA to court when OSHA demanded Dayton change all lifting jobs. OSHA lost when, amazingly, the government's own experts could not agree on what was safe to lift. One said 25 pounds, another 10 pounds. One said 4. One said, to be safe, some workers shouldn't lift any weight. Since their own experts can't agree, you'd think OSHA would hesitate before trying to impose national standards on all of us. But you'd be wrong. Now, in addition to that home office rule, OSHA wants to set ergonomic standards for every workplace. Ergonomics is a new and uncertain science that tries to address injuries to workers who lift things, or work assembly lines, or just type. These repetitive movements can cause painful injuries, but does OSHA know how to prevent them? Should they act when their own experts can't even agree on what's safe to lift? Sure, says OSHA.
We are compelled to act. Employees are getting hurt, workers are being sent home, people are suffering.
The ergonomics rules aren't law yet, but law or no law, consultants are making money.
This is big.
Cindy Roth runs Ergonomic Technologies, which makes money telling companies how to become ergonomically correct.
What we have to do is educate people and allow them to understand when they are at risk and to minimize that risk. When you have companies that have good ergonomics programs, you see an increase in productivity.
She's also a consultant to OSHA. She helped the government write its ergonomics proposal. It says an effective ergonomic intervention can require physicians, occupational health nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, occupational therapists, physical therapists, industrial hygienists, ergonomists, safety engineers, and a workplace safety and health team.
This is real complicated. This is 300 pages of fine print, and if I were a company, I would close up rather than try to even understand this.
If you read it page by page, it actually does make sense. You can also get clarification from the Department of Labor through OSHA.
Your critics say you're a bunch of clueless busybodies trying to micromanage everybody's life.
Well, the question is, am I a busybody?
Well, I think so. Since OSHA may soon require my home office meet its exacting standards, I asked Roth for an ergonomic evaluation.
You have to set yourself up comfortably on these.
Her certified ergonomist, Chandra Nair, wired me up to his impressive machines.
Now just bend your hand up like this. So just by that motion, you can see how much muscles you're using.
He and Roth found endless problems with my home office. My computer mouse is at the wrong level.
When you reach up for the mouse, you get a lot of stress on your shoulder.
But how much am I moving the mouse?
After a while, it tends to be a lot. So you'll need to get a keyboard tray that accommodates the mouse.
Could cost $300.
Take this whole thing off and attach that other keyboard tray.
And my keyboard itself is dangerous.
It induces what we call ulnar deviation.
And I shouldn't sit up straight.
And that leads to stress on the spine.
And the sunlight may cause
eye ache and headache, and maybe even neck stress.
And my chair?
It's not suitable for the computer.
How about a chair like this?
Even that probably does not meet the specifications for an office chair.
I just got this thing. They told me it was ergonomic.
It's no good, agrees his boss. The fabric's wrong.
You're going to tend to slide. You're not going to even be aware of it. These are the way cumulative traumas develop within the body.
Across the room, she says my son is doing everything ergonomically wrong.
He's compressing his thigh with his forearms. He also has his head tilted this way. His neck postures are compromised. This is cumulative trauma disorders.
Come on, if we turn our lives over to the Labor Department and all these government experts, we'll have no freedom left, no money either. Give me a break.
John, I mean, some of it is so ridiculous, but I'm going to be the devil's advocate. Not that the government is necessarily the devil, but, I mean, aren't some of the rules good to protect people?
Well, some may be useful, but we already have all this local protection, insurance company rules, workers' comp rules, free individuals protecting themselves. They're spending $200 million a month. I think most of it is waste.
Well, I'm not too sure that this chair is too comfortable. How's your back feeling?
I don't know, maybe I have a lawsuit against ABC going here.
Maybe you do. It could happen. Thank you, John, and we'll be back with more.